Hello, scholars, and welcome to week 4 of Applying Philosophy to Modern Global Issues. Congratulations on your excellent work last week. You covered a huge amount of ground in a short period of time, and your presentations on the 19th century isms were thorough and interesting. Well done. During our second module, we became familiar with the liberal ideals inherited from the Enlightenment, which had spread throughout Europe after the French Revolution. Reason, democracy, capitalism, progress, and the centrality of the individual to society. Early 19th century philosophers all agreed that by embracing both the discipline of science and a belief in social justice, unlimited progress had become possible. The individual and society might even be perfected. By the outset of the 20th century, though, this optimism had evaporated. From 1890 to 1950, Western civilization, inherited from the Greeks, rediscovered during the Renaissance, and given fresh impetus by the Enlightenment, nearly collapsed into what Winston Churchill described as the abyss of a new dark age, made more sinister and perhaps more protracted by the lights of perverted science. During the terrible world wars from 1914 to 1945, Western civilization survived, but only barely. This week, we continue our whirlwind tour of the history of ideas by studying the thinking which revolutionized Western culture during the modern period. I'm speaking of the groundbreaking work of Karl Marx in politics, Charles Darwin in biology, Friedrich Nietzsche in philosophy, and Sigmund Freud in psychology. You have 3 major tasks this week. First, we will consider the ways that our understanding of the human mind and how we learn have been transformed since the Enlightenment of the 18th century. We learned last week that John Locke considered the human mind to be a blank slate upon which our experience draws our identity. Much of our judgment of individuals today rests on the degree to which people can take control of that process and develop the virtues necessary for success in a capitalist economy. However, our understanding of human nature has radically shifted since the end of the 19th century. After reading about Locke's conception of the blank slate, please consider psychologist Jonathan Haidt's presentation on contemporary models of the human psyche. How should our moral judgment of people change when we recognize the forces at work in our psyche that are beyond our control? Due on Monday night by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is a graded discussion about the new visions of human nature which emerged in the 20th century. Second, just like last week, you need to work in groups to teach each other about the ideas which transformed the zeitgeist of the Western world. The term zeitgeist comes from the German philosopher Georg Friedrich Hegel. He believed that each age in the history of mankind is dominated by the commanding ideas of the era. He called this phenomenon the zeitgeist, or spirit of the age. Your job in these reports is to describe how the ideas of Marx, Darwin, Freud, and Nietzsche helped transform the zeitgeist of the Western world. You will work with your teammates to produce a presentation that is due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Finally, you'll gather at the end of the week to look over each other's presentations and consider the continuing impact of these thinkers' ideas on key events during the brutal first half of the 20th century, a time when civilization was nearly extinguished. That graded discussion is due by next Sunday, September 25th, by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, and let me know if you have any questions. Keep up the great work. You guys are doing great, and I'll see you all online. Thank you.